My name is Wallace Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc. This show is presented by United in Peace, Inc. The producer of this show is none other than the chairman of United in Peace, Inc., and that's Terry Marsh Bradley. We got a very interesting show in the short time that we allowed to present some very important topics. It was brought to my attention that the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, along with the Congressional Black Caucus, has endorsed Biden and Harris' ticket. That's a wonderful thing. There's been issues of concern within the Democratic Party, and it's going to work itself out because they all got to come to the conclusion. Biden is the right man at the right time, along with his Vice President Harris, to beat Trump. Forget about the debate. The man has made it plain. You don't have to wonder. I'm running. You say you need to go out and talk with the people. Okay, I'm going to talk with the people. He go to the churches. He go and talk to his base. The naysayers, well, he ain't talked to enough. They only have 600 people in the church. But one thing we, as God-fearing people that read the Bible, understand this. It's written where there's two or three in my name, not my name, in the name of God, surely would he be in the midst. Biden has said, and everybody has their conversation with God. I have mine, you have yours. He let it be known that the only thing that can stop him from running is pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing, is God. This plan, 2025, that now that everybody is becoming aware of it, it's scaring everybody, especially with the Supreme Court decision. That was real bogus how they put it together to make it where Trump will be the king. Now all that is coming unraveling. Everybody's like, wait a minute. The same individuals that have said that the same Supreme Court justice, when they went before the Senate hearings to be confirmed, they all said that no one is above the law, not even the president. They all said that. With the Supreme Court being up under scrutiny for receiving bribes, all of a sudden, all of those that said that under oath, changed their mind and said Trump ought to be king, or the next president ought to be king. They brought that concern to Biden. And Biden said he believed that no one is above the law, not even his son. Yet we see where this corrupt individual, talking about Trump, fraud, con artists, they say he sexually abused a woman. The judge in that case say, hey man, you abused that woman. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about this past 4th of July. The violence in Chicago, atrocious. Over 100 people that shot, 19 of them were fatal. And I've been speaking about the community law, which is zero tolerance for senseless violence, inclusive of domestic violence, senseless shootings and killings, zero tolerance for the abuse of women, for the abuse and rape of women and children, zero tolerance for the abuse and robbery of elders and seniors. Community law puts the teeth and makes one understand the importance of community safety. We saw where it was applied when this gentleman got killed on the west side. And they didn't hurry up and catch the perpetrators because they found out or realized he was a former police officer. No, he was a staple, a man of integrity within that community that made that community come together and created the manifestation of what community law is. Everybody came together to the point, from what I'm hearing, that the mother of one of the alleged defendants turned her son in. That's where parents, teachers, gang members, former gang members, those behind the walls of the penitentiary, those that's free, preachers, teachers, everyone come together within that community. That's how it's going to work. 4th of July, there was a mass shooting on 71st and Woodlawn. Five people got shot, 2 women, 3 children. The 2 women died. Our 8-year-old died. Baby was 8 years old. He died. The other 2 children are under critical condition. The community coming together again. Police department, the mayor was there. I was there. Because I walk it like I talk it. I'm going to show you that. And everybody's putting the pressure on the mayor. But the pressure is on all of us to let those individuals know that there's nowhere that you can hide, because the community is fed up. I want to thank CAN TV. They're not responsible or accountable for the things that I say. But they allow the public to hear what I say and see why I said it. That's a part of community law. The mayor, we all got to stand with the mayor, and the mayor going to say it loud and clear for everyone to hear that he's in full support of community law, because it brings about community safety. So without further ado, Sister Monty, could you please start the show?
A look at the new GOP platform. Tell us what you can. Well, the most striking part about it, Jake, is one, it is much shorter, much more watered down than what we saw in both 2016 and 2020, and it really mimics the candidate himself, which isn't that surprising because I am told that not only did Donald Trump help edit the document, but he also wrote some of the parts of the platform himself. So three of the parts I want to specifically point to. One is abortion. Again, a much more watered down version of abortion policy than we have seen in the past. There is no call for a national abortion ban, and in fact, he talks about how it should be punted to the states, something he has said since the overturning of Roe v. Wade. The other point I want to make is this of marriage. They took out how to define marriage as between a man and a woman. The third one that was interesting was instead of this emphasis on paying back the national debt, they focus on inflation and ending inflation and making America wealthy again. Again, national debt has been something that has been on the Republican agenda for decades now, really scaled back, and that's something that Donald Trump doesn't care about. The other points of focus here, Donald Trump, are things that we obviously have heard from the former president time and time again. Ending the weaponization of the government, talking extensively about immigration. What is also interesting, though, is that a lot of it is very vague. Again, this is a very short document compared to what we have seen in years past. So when it comes to federal agencies, for example, something that we have reported extensively on, how in a second term it would be likely that Donald Trump would have enormous powers under the executive branch because they would move all of those agencies under the executive branch. It's actually very vague as to what powers the federal agencies would have, Jake.
And there's this thing, obviously, that we've covered and have been for months called Project 2025. It's a roughly 900-page document. A number of Trump's former aides worked on the project, including Dr. Ben Carson and Ken Cuccinelli, former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Stephen Miller, his convicted former economic advisor Peter Navarro. The former president has just denied even knowing about it. What's going on?
Yeah, Jake, what's really interesting, one name you didn't mention was Russ Vought, who is the actual architect behind this idea of giving the executive branch this enormous amount of power. And all the people you just mentioned are people who, one, participated in Project 2025, but also, two, still talk to Donald Trump on a regular basis. However, the campaign has routinely separated themselves from Project 2025, particularly as it's grown increasingly controversial, some of those policies in place. And now Donald Trump is saying he doesn't know anything about it at all. In a statement on Truth Social, he said, "I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them." Obviously, again, people that he knows who could even serve in another Trump administration. However, they have sought to distance themselves from it. Himself here doing it in a very Trumpian way, saying he doesn't even know these people, who many of whom he still speaks to on a regular basis.
Or literally currently work with his campaign. Kristen Holmes, thanks so much. Let's discuss with our panel. What's your take on this? Project 2025, we've all been covering it for months about, it's not from the campaign, it's from a bunch of conservative groups that support Trump. And as Kristen points out, Russ Vought, his OMB director, is like basically the architect of it. Do you believe that he knows nothing about it?
No, it's an obvious lie. But I do think there's a connection between that and the changes to the platform. For 8 years now, 10 years now, there's been this steady effort by a lot of intellectuals, activists, ideologues, activist groups, all that kind of thing, to craft something cogent and coherent and consistent called Trumpism, right? And the problem is you can't do that because Trump himself brags about how he goes with his instincts, he changes his positions, he doesn't want to be tied down to anything. And so a lot of these very committed people end up being made to look ridiculous. Kevin Roberts, the reason why Trump issued that statement was that Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, had gone on Steve Bannon's Goon Show, his podcast, and said, we're having a second American Revolution, and it'll be bloodless as long as the left allows it to be. It sounded like a creepy threat, got a lot of bad press, and Trump says, okay, all of you guys under the bus, I want nothing to do with you.
Right.
You have committed pro-lifers for years who've pushed the GOP to be a pro-life party. Trump says this is a problem for me. Even though we got rid of Roe v. Wade, we're going to make the platform bend to me. I'm not going to bend to any set of principles or platform. And it's the consistent through line is the whole party has to shape itself to whatever Donald Trump wants at any given moment. And that means you're never going to have a consistent body of principle or politics.
Well, I guess Tim Snyder has peeled a layer of skin off of me, and I'll just say it. I'm scared of Trump doing the things that he said he's going to do. I'm not scared of the things he hasn't thought of yet. I'm scared of him completing the projects that are underway, because in a two-journalist household, we're high risk, right? And I think, Ruth, your admonition and Timothy Snyder's explanation of what fear does. Fear creates frenzy. Fear makes the brain adapt ahead of time, makes people give power away to the authoritarian as a sort of hedge. That's happening all around me, right? I mean, let's just be brutally honest and keep that faith with our audience, even when they don't like the things that we cover and the things we talk about. But the threat of authoritarianism, and that's almost too soft. Fascism is a closer description of the retribution and brutality that Trump is promising and saying out loud, which, again, is to say nothing of what he hasn't telegraphed yet. And I wonder, Ruth, what your counsel is, again, on how we get through these days where the choice and the things that Trump's doing to fool people, to shave some of the edges off, softening the language on marriage equality, softening the language on abortion, taking it out, not even softening, taking it out. Make no mistake, Trump would ban abortion in this country. Leaving it to the states doesn't mean leaving abortion rights on the table. It means, what the states are doing is criminalizing. They're making mifepristone in Louisiana a controlled substance, which means arrest. The use of prosecutions and criminality in the second Trump term is something that we've never lived like that before. And that's what he's promising to do.
Yeah, well, authoritarians specialize in bringing the unthinkable into being. And in that process, making us betray not only each other, but ourselves. And this is a point that Democrats can use, because this whole thing is a colossal act of self-harm, that Project 2025. Think of all the things that will be abolished or neutralized and changed out of all recognition. The Department of Commerce. Now, how is that going to be good for business? Because the Department of Commerce also operates in embassies around the world. The Department of Education is supposed to be, eventually abolished. How is that going to be good for our prosperity as a nation and our people as a nation? And you can go on and on. So you want to have these conversations like we're having to make these outcome arguments and make people see that they are voting to basically kneecap America, because that's Trump's plan. He's not going to be isolationist if he gets in. He is aligned very clearly with dictators. And his new thing, he's saying that he's going to bring peace to the world. This is what Orban's saying. This is what Putin's saying. This is their talking point. And the price of that peace is that America would exit NATO and America would become a failed state. And that's always been Putin's plan for us. So Project 2020.
I have to agree with that woman and what everybody else is saying. This is serious. And they know it. And they know Trump and his MAGA people. Now everybody's trying to figure out, then what you gonna do? There's only one thing to do. Vote Democrat. I'm not speaking for United Peace Inc. when I say vote Democrat. I'm not speaking for Can TV when I say vote Democrat. I'm going to vote Democrat. Me and the majority of black men in America, the majority of us, are going to vote for Joe because of what Trump did to Roe. This election is so powerful at the same time when all the critics, Democratic critics, are saying, Joe is too old. He's going to be before NATO in Washington, D.C. The whole world is worried about Trump winning. They can't figure out why the Democrats, the few, is talking about switching or whatever it is. Forget the fact that over, 14 million or 100 million voters, I don't know, but I know it's a bunch of them. But let's go to the next piece.
They say I shouldn't talk about this type of thing. You know, they say it don't sell records. And
we will get through this moment, but these
listeners.
moments won't end without all of us
You know what
working
I say?
together to ensure that tragedy doesn't become normalized.
This is a message to those that feel that they can continue to shoot our women and children.
The emotions of a bloody 4th of July intersect with moments of prayer.
This ain't no snitch all-star piece. It's a message to individuals that feel that you can shoot innocent individuals.
The hardest part of this is Keita can't handle going to the hospital to see her grandbaby. So I have to stand in. So when Jacoby had surgery this morning, she said, I just got to go home. I said, don't worry about it, baby. I got them. So to walk from this room over here to Jacoby and walk to that room to see a 5-year-old fighting 2 ventilators. They trying to keep him. So he's fighting and fighting. And I be talking to him and I be kissing him. And I be like, baby, come on, pull through. You got a praying family. Come on, my grandmother and my mom and I know.
Google us and you will see our past, but know our truth. We are fathers, we are grandfathers. Some of us, like myself, are great-grandfathers.
God who makes a way out of no way, a God who can do all things but fail. And so we ask you, God, to be with us in this moment.
And we speak through TikTok, but with a licking, like a time-ass watch. And we ain't just talking this. Give me a police. We together on this one. You know, the cry is going out for community law. The community is hearing it. And we all got a responsibility to do what we must do. And I want to end the show with you hearing what the mayor has to say. Let's go to work, Amani.
Stand here today heartbroken.
More than any other official, the Chicago mayor must wear the stain of the city's staggering gun violence. Brandon Johnson, a West Side resident, insists he gets it, and he's up to the challenge.
There's no secret where I live, right? You know, that's why this is personal for me. I've shared this. We've had gunshots come through our home. I'm so sick and tired of losing black boys to violence in this city. It grieves me fiercely.
After 19 people were killed, dozens more wounded during the extended 4th of July weekend, Johnson and his long-term solutions approach face increasing scrutiny. During a morning press event at police headquarters, Johnson was grilled. The mayor was forced to explain why he was not in Chicago on the 4th.
Given the fact that 4th of July is known to be a very violent time in the city of Chicago, do you think that was a wise idea to be out of town?
Well, here's what I can say emphatically, that my work never ends. It doesn't. You know, I accept the responsibility of 24/7 on call every day of the week.
Last Friday, the 5th, Johnson met people impacted by the violence, including a family that lost 3 loved ones, including an 8-year-old boy. Critics want more. Johnson foe Alderman Raymond Lopez took to X to highlight ShotSpotter alerts across the city. This is what the criminal enablers don't want you to see. Over a 3-day period, nearly 500 shooting incidents across the districts with gunshot detection technology, he wrote. Despite the mayor's decision to cancel the city's agreement with the company behind the tech, a group of city leaders wants to reverse Johnson. Once again today, the mayor said he's not changing his mind. Instead, he'll keep pushing his comprehensive approach to public safety.
My ultimate goal is to transform this city so we cut off the pipeline of boys between the ages of 10 and 19 being either victims or the perpetrators.
The mayor also stressed that everyone must take responsibility for helping end violence. And tomorrow, along with city health leaders, the Johnson administration will explain how residents can do just that. Wallace Bradley, WGN News.
You know, I'm hearing what the mayor's saying. I know that the state's attorney believes in community law. I know the governor supports community law. I know the county board president supports community law. I know Chief Apostle from the Brothers Keeper Outreach Church supports community law. A whole lot of other pastors support community law. We as a people, especially the mothers and the young ladies, put out through your social media that we all got to support community law, and anybody that violates that is endangering the community. We all are targets. I send me and my wife, we send our condolences out to everyone that has been killed because of senseless violence, and their families and friends, especially my friend, the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, Brother Gatewood. I want to say, let us all pray that God put a hedge of protection around us and our families. And with that, I want to say, you better listen. To God be the glory. That's Dr. Wallace Gator Bradley's story.